Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to When the Shift Hits the Fan. My name is Mark Jeffrey, and I'm here once again with my beautiful co-host, Linda Lehman. And tonight, we're in the second part of our March Madness, our second week. And over the week, we've been talking to each other and to other people, and we wanted to explore this feeling that we have that we might believe we're content, but reality is we're longing for something and we're not even going after it because that contentment sometimes is just an illusion. And I'll just give you a couple examples I'm just going to throw out there for you to think about so you can kind of get into the mindset that we want to discuss tonight. And that is, if you're driving down the street and you see a Porsche drive by or a Maserati and you're driving your Honda and you covet that car, are you really satisfied? If you are walking down the street by huge homes and yours doesn't quite measure up, do you feel like a longing for that or feel like you're less than that is? You see, all of these things we sometimes can convince ourselves that we're happy with the way things are. But the reality is if you're longing for things, you're not happy, like you're not content. So we really have to stop and we have to think about those things, because if we're not living the life of our dreams, we're living an illusion of happiness. And what a sad, sad thing, right, Linda? If you were to live your whole entire life mediocre and convincing yourself like your comfort zone's holding you hostage, and you're thinking, oh, that's good enough for me. Ouch.
Yes, Mark, ouch. You know, there is a universal law. The universe is always for expansion and fuller expression. So it always makes me cringe a little bit when I hear people say, and I'm saying, I speak, I guess is the right term, when I hear people speak the words, oh, I like things just the way they are. Because, Mark, they're telling themselves a lie. Because our inner urge is to continue to grow and continue to expand. So you're right when you say that you're looking at something as you drive down the road and you see a car that you really, 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 really want. That's a little urge to expand your horizons. I mean, I remember many years ago on a vacation, sitting on the beach. This is back when I lived in I call landlockedville. I lived in Arkansas. That's where I grew up, and we would vacation down to the coast, down to the beach somewhere. And I can remember sitting on the beach just with this overwhelming feeling in my stomach, in my being. It's just like I wanted to grab onto that sand and just never let it go, because this is what I wanted. I wanted to live here, and I would always wonder, what do the people do who live here? And I would put myself into a little bit of a fantasy, pretending like that this wasn't just a vacation. I was actually living here. And fast forward a few years and listening to the nudges that I received and that Randy received from the wonderful universe saying, take a look at this opportunity. Now, Mark, so many times when those opportunities knock and we're in our comfort zone, we think of 10 million excuses or reasons why it won't work before we ever even put a toe in the water. We're talking ourselves out of it, right?
Exactly. And, and you just, excuses and reasons. Here's the thing. Everybody thinks their reason is not an excuse. It's an excuse. If you're longing for something, I don't care what it is, a better relationship or you want a maid once a month, and you just can't seem to get the money together to do it. You're being held hostage by something that you probably don't even know, and you're going to make up excuses. Well, I don't want somebody else in my house anyways. I don't want somebody looking through my things. Yeah, well, you probably want the maid but can't afford the maid and won't take the actions that will get you the maid. And it's just like everything else in our lives. Like you could have, Linda, you and Randy could have both said, oh, that would be such a life that we could have over there, but, right? That would have been easy to do.
It would have been very easy because they were really good butts. But I have a great job with great advancement opportunities, and so did Randy. Our children were embedded in the school system. We owned a home that we were renovating. I mean, I could have listened to all of these buts, but instead we said, why don't we just give it a try? What if it works? And
what if it works? Yeah. And sometimes, you know what, and we talk about this, the little baby steps. Sometimes, you do it in that way. People do. I mean, people who invest in real estate normally do. That's why they have starter houses, and then you do this, and you get your retirement house. You kind of go through these phases of purchasing things and cars, as your income grows in your job or your business, you invest more in yourselves and doing things. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the baby steps getting you. Nobody says that you have to quit your job, divorce your husband, hide your kids under the bed, and leave. That's not what we're saying. We're saying, though, if you're living in a life of discontentment, dissatisfaction with whatever is going on, you're being held hostage by a comfort zone that is not serving you anymore, and you need to kick it out. It's like, grown kids, when they leave, change the locks. Same thing for comfort zones.
That's where I went wrong.
I told you it was.
No. Wow. I love my children. They're welcome anytime. But they're welcome where we are. And we did move to the beach. And even Mark, that wasn't easy. Some people say, well, it's easy for you because, I said we had this desire, we had this dream, we saw an opportunity, and we took it. But that opportunity was hard in and of itself because Randy actually was able to move first.
Right.
And so he left, and he was in this beautiful, sunny beach community, and I was back in the snow. But I wasn't going to move until I had an opportunity. And so when people say, well, gee, Linda, you were lucky because one appeared, it's not luck, Mark. We make our own luck by pursuing what it is that we want. And so it was...
you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear about this all the time. People hear about other people doing this. And what do you all say to yourself? You say, oh, well, that's easy for them to do, or that's easy for you to do. I mean, people say that to me all the time when I get up on stage. Oh, well, you just talk away. That must be easy for you. And I'm going, you didn't see my knees a knocking up there? Every single time I get up, I'm going, I have all those doubts and fears that everybody else does, but I just walk right through the door on it because I wouldn't have an opportunity to express myself if I was so afraid of what other people would think about me. Of course, there's going to be people that don't agree with me on whatever I do. Some people might look at my life and say, why are you living your life like this? Why do you even have a house? You're never in it. But it's my place. For me, it's my comfort that I love. Like when I walk through my doors of my home, I'm grinning from ear to ear That's contentment. That's happiness. And Linda and I just talked about this because I thought I saw this piece of land and I'm thinking, oh, I love that view and neighborhood is really nice. I could build here. And then I come home and I just start, do I really want to do that? So we have to look at the things too. Like if this is keeping me happy, is it something that maybe I should just walk there once in a while and take in the view, rather than uprooting myself. So decisions have to be made because that view may be a nice view, but in me leaving my home that I love might bring discontentment to me. And it's not a security blanket because I want people to be clear on this. I'm happy, extremely happy in these surroundings that I have. And that is not a motivation for me to move. So some people might say, going through their life and they buy this big fancy house and they find that they can't stand the echo of it. You know what I mean? Sometimes we shouldn't make moves just for the improper reasons either. We're talking about that longing. Like Linda said, that it catches you and you go, I've got to do this. And you will find a way to do it. But like Linda, you brought this up, 2 or 3 sessions ago, and I think we probably bring it up almost everyone, is your why has to be really big because the doubts will stand there and fight you. And I was thinking about this, Linda, watching the Vikings. And it's just watching the show The Vikings on here and how they challenged the new world and they lost half of their people, but they were happy, because they were going after it. And that's a difference. They longed for a better life for themselves and their children, and they went after it. That's different. Then I'm not going to say you should, because some guy doesn't make, an executive level income, that you should leave them if you're happy, because that'd be cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to. Go ahead.
Our happiness is key here. We keep saying the word, you need to be happy. You need to be happy. What our listeners, Mark, really want to understand, that happiness comes from within them. And they attract to them then other things to increase that happiness. And so it's not outside of ourselves, it's really inside of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so we really want to tap into that when we're making a move, when we're making or listening to that urge, and acknowledging it and moving forward toward what it is that we want, that we're being urged to do. And I think one of the killers of that happiness is listening to other people who don't want us to change or don't want us to make a move. It might be that we're working for someone, and maybe and this is a fine line, we may think we're content, but we're not happy because we're being urged to do something greater and grander. Maybe we've been there for so long, everything that we do is automatic. Or maybe you just have this longing desire to work for yourself. And maybe you have planned for a time when you would split off doing something, and so you've tucked away funds to get you over the hump, and so you make the decision that, okay, I'm going to stop working for this person, and I'm going to do this other business on my own, whether it's an internet business or even maybe you're answering a desire for, a pottery shop or something like that, and you're going to make that move. You are going to have people who are going to start telling you all of these excuses, all of these doubts that you probably had running through your mind anyway, but you've kind of pushed them aside. And now all of a sudden, all these naysayers, oh, you can never succeed in business online. Oh, you know what? Pottery is not in vogue anymore. Nobody's going to buy your stuff anymore. Or going into business for yourself as a woman is there's only a 5% success rate. Why would you want to do that? And so many people say, maybe you're right, and they go back inside that comfort zone again. And I actually call that comfort zone, Mark, bondage. They go back into bondage. They go back into this self-made prison.
Mhm. And it's funny because it's funny as human beings how much we convince ourselves that everything is okay where it is. And there's so many reasons for that. The biggest one, obviously, that we talk about the most is just fear of being successful and leaving your friends, fear of not being successful. And I think that the perspective totally has to change, because you said something interesting, Linda, saying, only 5% of people succeed at something. And you hear the odds on business success, and because we work within that realm, so often between 2 and 5%, and then that's it. Well, I don't even know why you would disqualify yourself out of that percentile. Like, why would you do that? But I think it goes back to even when we're in school. We're graded that way, right? Get your 3.2 average, You got to get your, we're always looking at things like that and deciding our futures and our lives, and that by all of these, like you just said, all of these external metrics that really mean nothing. And it's funny how we're so afraid to roar, particularly as women, so afraid to roar our gorgeousness of our being, to dress the same and look the same as someone else. And again, just watching something here tonight, I flipped on the TV to get the temperature and stuff like that, and I happened to flip onto the doctors, and they had this thing about anorexia, right? And that's another thing. Women, and how we don't enjoy our beauty. We're always comparing ourselves to Hollywood actresses that, if you actually saw them in person, you probably wouldn't even recognize them. But we're always comparing ourselves to what other people have, all those external things, and not enjoying the juicy, luscious part of all of us and our lives. So again, that will breed discontentment, but that's the opposite of what we're talking about. That's over there. That's an illusion, like oasis, right? It doesn't exist. And you just kill yourself trying to get there. But when you get there, it's still not there. It's not good enough. And that's another part of this that I guess, we really have to talk about, is sometimes we're stretching for things that are not going to make us happy. Like I said, I'm in this dilemma of this house, and I just brought it up because I'm such in a flux about it. Like, why am I thinking about it? I'm questioning myself in my own, am I really this happy? And I thought, and then I walked down the stairs going, I love my house. So I'm going, well, what are you thinking about? What is going on? So I do the analysis of my own feelings every single day. Nobody's immune to this. It's in everybody's lives.
Exactly, Mark. And it's up to us to tune in. As you know, I love listening to Deepak Chopra. And several years ago, and I don't even remember which book of his I was reading and listening to, but he talked. It was listening. He talked us through an exercise, and I love doing this exercise. It works every time if we're quiet enough to really listen. He says the answer is already inside of you as to what you want to do. You just have to ask yourself the question and then wait. And you're going to feel the feeling. And that feeling is going to help you make the decision. And And an example would have been for Randy and I. And, we were right on the threshold of, do we do this, do we not do this? And so I would be quiet, I'd close my eyes, and I'd ask the question. But I would ask it in such a way that it's going to kind of give me a feeling as I'm doing it. In other words, a present tense question or actually a comment. And the comment was something like, we're going to bypass this opportunity and stay right here. And then I would wait and see what that feeling inside of me was. And I can tell you, it was gut-wrenching horrible.
You know what? Actually, as you said it, I just felt that for you.
Oh, thank you.
Like I just thought you wouldn't have done that. Yeah. Isn't that strange?
Yeah. We're all connected with this energy thing. So I was feeling it at the same time I was talking about it. So I want to give the other example so that we can raise back up again. So then after I kind of breathed a little bit, closed my eyes again, and then made this statement. We're going to make this move down to the coast, and it's going to be absolutely fabulous. And I just opened up, my heart just felt so good and free, and I was excited, and that was my answer. I knew that this was, we didn't know the how, we didn't know all the steps. We knew that this was the right move for us. And there were naysayers, Mark. There were beautiful friends and family just trying to keep us there and draw us back in. But I knew, and I knew that I knew, that this was the right path for us. And we did it. And it has been amazing.
Exactly. It's happy ever after. And conversely, see, and I know where we talk about this a lot. Why do I live where I live? Because I love the wide open spaces, the forest, the mountains, and stuff like that. And when I go there, first thing, where are the snakes? Where are the bugs? That's not my, I like to visit, but I'm not, it's not my pretty place on earth, right? So we can be friends and we can enjoy each other's spaces, but that doesn't mean that has to be my thing. And so many people, it's interesting, so many people, when we're talking about online businesses, stuff like that, then that's the holy grail. If you don't live on the beach, you're a loser. And some urbanites like me would say, if you don't live in the big city and you don't have, all this stuff that you can go and do at any moment, eat out at midnight or do whatever you want to do, then you're crazy. We all have our point of happiness. So that's another thing, that you don't look at somebody else's dream and think, oh, gee, if I don't have that, I'm a loser. Because your dream is your dream, damn it.
It is. And you know what? I would like to advise everyone to stop comparing themselves to people who they think have more. It's the law of relativity. If you were to draw a square on a piece of paper about, I don't know, a small square, and call it A, and then next to it you draw a bigger square and call it B, you can say, okay, if I'm A and I'm looking at B, it's bigger. And so that's the way most people compare themselves. But if you're B and you look back at A and you compare yourself to A, you're just going, I'm doing pretty darn good because I'm bigger than A.
Mm-hmm.
And then C comes along and C is even bigger. But it's all in how you relate yourself to something else, or all in how you relate yourself to someone else. So instead of self-sabotaging and comparing yourself to maybe even somebody who's doing something that in your heart of hearts you really don't even want, like, Mark, you moving and living on the beach, or me living in your negative what?
Yeah, that ain't going to happen.
It's not happening. I'll come visit in the summer.
Exactly.
But I don't want to live in the snowy mountains all year round, and you don't want to live on the beach, especially when that little shark came swimming up at one time. I'm not even sure I'll get you in the water.
Yeah, I'm still thinking on that. Yep. But here's the thing. I guess what we want to leave you with is I want you to take a look at your life. Take a hard look at your life. We talk about journaling, whatever it takes, that quiet time. And you might find that you are longing for something, and you better make some goals and some tracks and some strategies, get some tools together and start moving in that direction so that you can move towards your happiness. But also, look and see if you are discontent because you're making a comparison to something that really, if you had it, would you really want it? Are you just doing it because you feel inferior to somebody else? Because we can make ourselves crazy, totally crazy, with our crazy ideals about everything. And most of it's not our fault because we gather it up in our life. We put it in our pocket. And the problem is we don't take that stuff out of our pocket when our pants fall down. So your pants are falling down. It's time to take some stuff out of the pockets.
Bricks.
And put the right stuff back in the pockets. Yeah.
Exactly. Put our dreams back in our pockets and take out everybody else's dreams. Because that's really what we're doing when we're trying to pursue something because we think we're inferior to somebody else. So we're pursuing their dream. We're pushing ours aside. And so why not make ours?
Yeah. Exactly. And it's the same thing with when people are, talking about, especially with online businesses, my friends, when people are talking about the kind of money they're making, there's an expense that came with that price tag. It didn't come free. It didn't drop on their door. Some of them might have won the lottery, but there was an expense to that. And nobody tells you that, right? They just say, you can make, $500,000 in the next year. But there's work involved in that. And I'm going to tell you this, and I know we're almost at the bottom of our time here, but you will work harder if this is your dream, okay? If this is your dream, to be independently wealthy working from home, online, it's going to be the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. Now, hard not in, you don't have to be extremely intelligent, although you could be. You don't, but it's going to, the determination, the perseverance, the pure sheer guts that it's going to take to get from zero to that 500,000 or the $1 million mark is going to be hard to do because most people are not equipped to do this right off the bat. And that's why we here say, you know what, make your first dollar and then make your second dollar, make your first $5. And like Linda says every single show, enjoy the buck. Enjoy the $2. Have a frickin' party on the $5 because you're going to be working that hard and you deserve to celebrate all of that, right? Like we talked about losing 30 pounds. Celebrate each ounce you lose because that is hard to do and you deserve to feel awesome about it. So Linda, last words, always yours, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Mark. Well, I want to just let our listeners know to just stop the madness. To stop being a prisoner of your own mind. And if you have a burning desire, go for it. Do the work necessary. Be persistent and persevere. And you will get there. One step at a time. One celebration of $1 at a time. On that one, I'll say good night.
We want to thank everyone once again for coming out and spending some time with us tonight. We really do appreciate each and every one of you. And again, on our sites, you can find more information on whentheshifthitsthefan.com. You can find some of our past episodes. If you're a first-time listener here and want to know a little bit more about us, you can find some information. We have slayed cancer, we have moved across continents, and we enjoy every single second of our lives, and that's what we want to bring to you every single week that we're here. So from Mark in Canada, good night, my friends.
And good night from Linda in Florida.